Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to Looking Ahead, the series where I break down and analyse the meta, what's happening over Japan, and how it impacts our one. Today, we're going to talk about Crimson Haze. Japan just got a brand new set on Friday. Even though we just had rotation, Japan is already now ahead of us with a brand new set. So we're going to talk about how impactful this set really has been. We've got some really amazing new cards like Greninja and Earthluna, but are these actually in any of the winning lists? So in today's video, we're going to break down that. There were some City League results. We're going to break down the top 16 meta percentage, but also the top 6 decks as well. Kind of give your thoughts and feelings as you're getting ready for rotation to see exactly what some of the top players played in Japan. I just want to first by saying thank you so much. The support honestly has absolutely blown me out of the water right now. We are now less than 60 subscribers from 1,000. If we can hit that milestone by the end of April, that would just absolutely be incredible. So thank you so much. And let's jump right in to a top 16 meta percentage for the City Leagues. So if we look at it, it hasn't changed too much, but also it's about half we've seen in the results, about 560. We're seeing here Charizard is still on top, being 22.5%, definitely more favouring the Pidgeot build. The Pidgeot build is just so much better, I feel like, in the barrel build. The Pidgeot build makes you search for any one card you might want to have. Yes, you are heavily reliant on the likes of Rare Candy, so Eerie and TM Devolution could be a bit more impactful, but it is just so powerful. Just get any card you might want to have. Lost Box is definitely on a rise, both in the regular version and the Lost Tina build. The Lost Tina build is definitely just super good and really has a good matchup going into Charizard. Having the likes of Iron Leaves, Maxim Belt, and having multiple copies of Super Rod means you can get multiple attacks turn after turn to turn to KO any of the Charizards your opponent may throw at you. And the regular Lost Box has the likes of Iron Hands and Roaring Moon, which is incredibly good inclusions of the deck as very good attacking option. Sheer Powder's rounded off being in 9.3%, beat rounded off the last of the 50% of the meta. I do think Sheer Power is having a little bit of a dip recently over Japan. They are still playing very much heavily into the Iron Hands build. It's still the strongest way to play it. Although some Palkia builds, the likes of Kyogre, are still very good inclusions. Lugia as well is kind of like going up just a little bit. Normally at the 8%, but going up to 9.3. This could be due to like the lack of results being as what we used to be seeing, but also Lugia is still just very powerful. Definitely focus on that Minchino really to give out a new lease of life. Turbo Iron Hands is definitely the way to play Future Box. Yes, this can be a little more temperamental, but the power you can get by getting a turn 1 Iron Hand, amp you very much, potentially for 180 damage, is just so powerful. It's just so good, and Heavy Baton really works so favorably into an Iron Hands deck. And rounding out the rest of it, we see Arctina, some Control, and Goldengo. So if you're going and you're testing right now for EUIC, and that's only next week, which is honestly incredible and quite scary as well. So my testing is definitely going a lot more full swing and really analysing the metagame to really see exactly how I should be building my decks. Definitely you should be thinking about what are the top 5 decks. Definitely still Charizard, Lost Box, Lost Tina, Shimpao, and Lugia, definitely the best ones to get results, but also keep an eye out for controlling archetypes like Arctina, Great Tusk, and also Stall itself. It's also just very good to keep an eye on. Now, if we look at the top 6 of top decks, Charizard again has not left the first place at all, and it's winning by quite a lot, even despite having a little bit less results than we used to having. Lost Zone decks are both up by a little bit. We see Lost Tina go up by 2, going from 4th, just switching places with Shimpao. There's also regular Lost Box going there in 3rd. Stall is now back in at 5th, and Future Box, like the Total Iron Hands build, is still there at number 6. So again, if you're really thinking about what you should be testing against for EUIC, what decks are actually performing well in Japan, these right here are the best ones to play. I think that's exactly where I will be right now. My testing things, these will be my top 6 I will constantly be testing. Maybe splashing the likes of a Lugia and an Arctina just to round up the metagame as they were just ones just outside. So that's all we're going to talk about really about this current format. About right now, we've had rotation, we've had these brand new sets, but now let's actually look at some brand new archetypes from Crimson Haze, which are doing well at the gym challenges. Let's start off by looking at Greninja. Yes, Greninja is a deck which a lot of people had a lot of hype for. It's brand new card, has for 1 water energy, 170 damage, you can get any card you want from your deck and pop in your hand, and then his other attack for water and double colorless is a 120 snipe to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, which honestly is very strong. The problem is, who is a really good partner to go with this one? I'm seeing some early list kind of team up like so Pidgeot. Yes, I know, but Pidgeot just does exactly what Greninja does, is get any one card. But in theory, if you can use your Greninja to get 1 card and Pidgeot to get another card, and then keep on spamming this, you can have your hand pretty much have any card you might want to have constantly in the game. I do like the like of Palkia, means that you can use the second attack much more freely and not rely on the likes of double turbo and waiting for like an energy attachment, taking a little bit slower. I think this build is a very strong one. It also gives you flexibility. You can also attack with Gradient and Greninja as well. I like the Canteen clone because you can make sure you can search it out from the likes of either your Greninja or Pidgeot play, or even likes of Irida. I think this deck is very powerful. The maximum belt means you can do 220 damage with Greninja's first attack, meaning you can KO the likes of Miraidon and Ximpao, which can give it a little bit of a problem. Yes, I know this does attack into weakness for Miraidon, but hitting that 220 it is a very good number. And TM Devolution is very much an interesting tech to include. But also it can make the deck kind of like focus on like if, say, for example, your opponent has lots of like damage around the field, you can just use the TM Devo, remove all of those highly evolved Pokemon, and take multiple prize cards that way. I think this deck could be a lot of fun. This is one way to play it, but another build you could play is the likes of just slotting it in the classic Ximpao archetype. But this one here is just a little bit different. It can add into a little bit more clunkiness, whereas you're playing like a little bit less of the back Excalibur by playing only a 2/2 line. Palkia is also mainly used because you can use that for the energy acceleration from the discard pile, and also Ximpao can get the energies. I think this is definitely a bit more of a fragile engine to add this one. We're seeing as a 2-1-1 engine added in for the Greninja to really work, plus also a Mew to help some of the bit of the draw factor, removing the Bibarel, removing some of the other key cards, which is why Ximpao is a bit more consistent. Definitely can add into that one as well. Yes, you do have Iona, which is one of the best supporters for any water type support. Yes, I know you can't search your Greninja pieces, but you can get the likes of your Froakie, your Frogadiers, you get other things as well. The thing was what I mentioned before, to get the water energies onto Greninja, you can just add them to like your Froakie and Frogadier, and when you evolve into it, they have already the 3 energies it needs for that big attack. I think Greninja is definitely going to be a very powerful attacking option. Doesn't have Psychic being a very relevant weakness because there isn't that many strong Psychic Pokemon. Mew is finally gone, so actually it's pretty good. And also hitting for fighting weakness goes very powerful, especially in the likes of Iron Hands, Miraidon, and Arceus, which is definitely running a little bit rampant over there in Japan. So that is kind of like Greninja. I think it's a very powerful one. Another deck which has kind of like had a huge increase is Future Box for the release of Iron Thorns. Iron Thorns has an incredible ability, which is when it's in the active spot, your opponent has no abilities except future Pokemon, which is really powerful, and its attack has 130 and move 1 Lightning Energy or 1 Energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench. This is really powerful, and I think this is exactly the missing piece this deck actually requires. Having that really good stalling option against certain decks like even like Lost Box, even likes of Ximpao, can honestly be such a big threat. I think this deck is incredibly powerful with that one, and Teams works incredibly well with Iron Hands. Yes, it also has the 4 retreats, so a heavy baton attached to that one. If it gets KO'd, all those basic energies can move to any of your Pokemon you like. This build, I think, is very strong. The Mew, I think, is a really good inclusion for the extra draw factor, and still focuses a little bit like the Turbo Iron Hands decks, which we used to see. Let's Generator, for gusting sort of cards, and very high energy counts, plus also gift energies as well. I think this deck has a ton of potential. I think this is maybe the missing pieces, like I keep mentioning, for that Turbo Iron Hands to make it a little bit more meta, having that disruptive capability in the early games. So you can either rely on having a Miraidon or having this to attack, because it only requires 3 energies and has that good shutting off abilities, which is pretty much, I think, what this deck is missing. Lost Zone actually gained 2 brand new cards, the Blood Moon Ursaluna, as well as also the Lana. So why exactly should you be playing the Blood Moon Ursaluna in these sort of decks? Well, you can obviously use Greninja as one of the best Radiant cards, and you want to be having that instead of likes of Charizard. So Blood Moon Ursaluna is a really good attacking option. Obviously, it can pretty much attack for 0 energies if your opponent has a full bench. But also doing 240 damage for 5 energies can be a bit costly, but your opponent has a couple bench Pokemon, say for example they have 3. Also, it's a 2 energy attack cost, which is a lot more easier to do, and 240 is such a good number just to kind of like get that big 1-hit KO potential after sprinkling some damage from the likes of Saberline. I think that's a very good inclusion. Whereas also Lana is a very good one. Basically, the little bit of a return of Clara. Gain any combination of basic Pokemon and Pokemon as well as basic energy into your hand, obviously excluding like sort of rule box, which is very good. Kind of like get your Cramorants, get your Sableyes, get your Comfeys, and get any of your basic energy. It's just really powerful. I think this is a good way to include your Lost Zone, and kind of looking at the other gym leader winning list, they are playing the likes of Ursaluna because it is such a good versatile attacking option. And like we've seen like Charizard pop up in every other deck, don't be expected if we don't see Ursaluna pop up in multiple different archetypes because it is that good of an attacking threat. Speaking of that, it's right here in the likes of Miraidon. And this Miraidon includes a ton of brand new cards. The Ursaluna, I think, is actually a pretty good attacking option in this one, purely on the basis that you can just chuck one energy onto it and just have this big one-hit KO potential right near the end game. And also the likes of Iron Thorns in this one, so you can have a little bit of a setup. And yes, you still have your EUIC, which is an incredibly good early game attacking option, but the Iron Thorns is a very good with that attack, but also that ability as well to slow down the likes of Shimpao, Lostbok, Gardevoir, so many different archetypes you can just slow down and have you back pretty much until you get that big setup. But a big key card I see in this one is Unfair Stamp. Now, Miraidon was very much known to actually doing really well with having the likes of Path to the Peak, spamming it with likes of Judges and that lot as well. But having an Unfair Stamp is just really, really powerful. If your opponent's like taking a prize card, they're a bit ahead, getting them down to 2 cards is actually really good for your strategy. Miraidon can really thrive on having an opponent going a little bit behind, they stall a little bit, you can kind of have that slow build up by hitting your electric generations, by attaching your energies. It's just, I think that's a little bit more stronger. But you can see here there is a ton of one-offs as well, but no history in Heavy Ball, which can be a little bit eaten to your consistency, but it's definitely a good one to see. Miraidon is winning this one a little bit different by having multiple of these brand new archetypes. Lugia, however, it's an absolute fit for it to have a Ursaluna, because yes, you can attack for it even if your opponent doesn't have a full bench Pokemon or have a full bench Pokemon. It's just such good inclusion, but also survival cards could be a really good ace spec for it to replace the likes of Master Ball. Because if it's attached with Cinccino, all of a sudden, if it like was meant to be KO'd and it's not, that could be really, really powerful. It's not like the likes of Lost Vacuum, which yes, you can remove it and then you can get the one-hit KO, but it's not like the likes of, say, for example, Bravery Charm and the Drifloon, where it has like more damage over it and you can use the Lost Vacuum to get rid of it and take more prize cards that way. No, you can just attack with it twice, which is just so powerful for this sort of Lugia engine. Making sure your opponent has to go through the same single prize Pokemon twice could be very devastating for your prize mapping and honestly could in fact lose you the game. And also like the Ursaluna, I think it's just very, very powerful to have. This is just a really nice way how people are adapting the Lugia builds, especially over there with the brand new set. And we're seeing this likes of Gardevoir finally having a brand new card a little bit as well. The new ace spec, the Hyper Blower, or whatever it's called as well, kind of exactly what we thought was going to be included in Gardevoir, and exactly what I was talking about last week. You use this one and search your deck for 3 Curlies and just pop them in play. Put them in your hand and then you can evolve into them with your rolls. I think this is exactly the missing piece Gardevoir actually needed. It also is playing one of the brand new stadium cards, which I actually think works really well. Pretty much it's whenever you play a supporter card, you get to heal 10 damage from all of your Pokemon in play. This is very, very strong. Yes, I know you could have, but Charlie, wasn't Moonlight Heal like basically the saving grace for Gardevoir and that heals 30 when you discard a Psychic Energy? Oh yes, sometimes you're not going to have that many Psychic Energies in play anymore, purely on the basis they want to always be in your discard pile. And also, you're going to be playing supporter turn after turn after turn. So actually, it works out very, very well in your sort of your matchup wise. I think also you have the really good attacking option, Scream Tail, Drifloon. Also, the Luxurious Cape is a really good inclusion. If you're not playing Hero's Cape, having Luxurious Cape does make a little bit of sense. And the Flutter Mane is a very, very good sort of starting option. Slowing down the likes of those Comfeys and Cramorants from damaging you is just very, very strong. And another brand new card is this Sinistea EX, but teamed up with Goldengo. And that actually is a strategy for this one. Goldengo puts all your energies in the discard pile, whereas Sinistea uses its first attack to place loads of damage counters by shuffling in all your grass energies back into your deck. So it's a constant stream where you can theory in the end of it, in the end game, just draw into all your energies, attack with Goldengo, but in the late game, Sinistea is a very good attacking option. Is this any better than the likes of Battle Legion? Oh no, because this thing is definitely worse, because Battle Legion does pretty much exactly the same damage. Obviously, it's not damage counters. But also it's a single prize Pokemon and can put and attacks for 0 energies. So again, something to really think about in the metagame. Also, Lana, I think, is a really good supporter in for Goldengo. You can get your Gimmicks, but also you can get out some of your basic energies. Pretty much it could be like a get one of Gimmicks, get 2 basic energy. It's pretty much playing like a Rescue Stretcher back in the day and a Energy Retrieval all in one, which I think is a pretty good combination for this one. Iron Leaves actually makes your Charizard matchup just a little bit better. I just think it's a very good attacking, but you are going to be going attach. It is going to be one of those sort of things you can't like guarantee have it out, but it is one of these things which could see some play in the late game. Sinistea could in fact be a little bit of a threat, but is this the right combination to go with Goldengo? Potentially, but at this stage, I would rather just play straight up Goldengo with a Palkia, but it's nice to see that the Sinistea list is in fact winning. And to finish off, let's look at the good old Charizard. No real game new card it did have, but it does see the return, or actually a brand new card, which was the return of the Bibarel build, that's what I was going with, but the brand new card of the Unfair Stamp as the A-Spec of choice. We have seen, I think, nearly every A-Spec under the sun in a winning list for Charizard, and this one here could in fact work much stronger in the likes of the Bibzard build. The Bibzard, because you're always going to have that guaranteed draw on the fact with the likes of Bibarel, you're always going to be that little bit slower in the against other sort of builds, and unlike the likes of the Pidgeot build. So having this Unfair Stamp can really like throw some hindering. It can make your Shinpow matchup a little bit more favored. It can put the likes of Future Box a little bit more favored, or any sort of like Arctina. Even if they'll be trying to play Unfair Stamp against you, you can like check against them first. You might actually be in a really good situation in the game. I think this could be a good threat to really think about for Charizard. Could this be the A-Spec it's really needed to actually push it to be a lot more aggressive and could make the return of Bibarel build instead of their very dominant Pidgeot? So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Now, if we just look ahead, will any of these decks actually translate to the City Leagues? We actually will see that next week. They believe they kickstart back on the 30th, which is actually just over a week away. So hopefully we're going to see some of that translation. And it's a meta set for the Champions League. The Champions League is actually the week after EUIC. So we're going to have some exciting tournaments to talk about on the channel. Talk about EUIC in 2 weeks' time, and then also talk about the Champions League in 3 weeks. Looking at some of the brand new set, and obviously some brand new cards as well. Will we see the return of Greninja actually doing very, very, very well? Or the likes of Bloodluna and Saluna have a very good carrying, the likes of Lost Box or the likes of Lugia? And can we use any of the stages to help us right now? Now, obviously, it's a brand new set, but it's going to help us in the Twilight Masquerade, our NAIC set. So definitely keep an eye out for that one, because even though the Ogre points will be released at the end of April, which is definitely going to be the one which we're going to see, having this middle set like Crimson Haze will in fact give that a little bit of insight as well to really get you on the radar, saying like, if you want to be trying to Greninja, how is it doing? Is Bloodluna Luna a really good tech? Will we see any other likes of Unfair Stamp in other sort of decks? We've seen it in 2 examples right now. Could we see it a lot more in other archetypes as well? So, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll be back in a couple of days' time for my top picks of the best decks to play for EUIC. Again, thank you so much for the support. Let's push into 1,000. Heck, if we can get it by the end of next month, that will just be incredible. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you guys later. Bye for now.